It's 9 p.m. and Nigerian stories continue, one headline at a time. Tonight on Newsline, we journey through names, dreams, pains, and resilience. 4 portraits of Nigeria's silent strength. From the powerful meaning behind a child's name to the raw ingenuity of a young man building drones in a town that holds so much dreams for Nigeria. To the determined glide of a schoolboy on skates through the streets of Kano, and the haunting cries of a 13-year-old girl in Maiduguri seeking shelter but found sorrow. We will bring you these and other stories that stir the soul, stories of identity, innovation, survival, and the pursuit of something better. I am Elizabeth Omori, and this is Newsline, where every story matters. Tonight, I will be flying solo. So let's get started with some news highlights. We begin with bilateral relations. Nigeria and Brazil are making new commitments towards fast-tracking the processes of actualizing the gains of bilateral relations between the two countries. President Bola Tinubu and his Brazilian counterpart expressed optimism for timely and fruitful relations between Nigeria and Brazil at their meeting in Rio de Janeiro. Status correspondent Musbah Dawahab reports that the meeting was ahead of the 2025 BRICS Summit of Heads of State and Government holding in Brazil.
Presidents Bola Tinubu and Luiz Lula da Silva of Brazil. Again, a bilateral relations meeting, fast transforming into friendship intimacy. One apparently born out of a shared interest to get results for their peoples. Under President Tinubu and his Brazilian counterparts, the two countries have set in motion new areas of collaboration, particularly in livestock and agriculture. Here, another meeting to assess the progress and fast-track the process. With series of meetings held between the two nations already, both parties have agreed on knowledge sharing to facilitate the much expected benefits of the relations.
Research and development in areas of aviation, areas of agriculture, areas of livestock, mining and trade and industry that would have joint benefits, mutual benefits for both countries.
Today Brazil has been declared foot and mouth disease free. And that is a record. So we are already talking with Embrapa and the Minister of Agriculture to get lessons, to learn lessons from that practice, improve the productivity of our animals in the no-distant future. We are also going to look at the issue of poultry.
Representatives of subnationals in Nigeria are also hoping to tap into the bilateral relations for their respective states.
Lagos in particular, how do we ensure that aviation, becomes something that is signed on very, very quickly? And so it was re-emphasized again that we should immediately have, an air movement, both from the Nigerian side and so from the Brazil side.
If you do agriculture at a very commercial large scale, again, it comes to play that security in between is also taken care of. So the spaces are no longer just left loose, but are fully occupied and then for commercial basis.
They've seen opportunity for a lot of exchanges where it's going to be both import and export of goods and services, and also from both parties.
They both resolved that they must pursue their conclusions very aggressively by removing any bureaucracy or red tape. Our president committed to that. They both resolved that by the time the president is coming here next on a state visit, and between now and that time, they must begin to work out how to ensure that obvious and deliberate steps are seen in actualizing all the discussion that we had today.
The Nigerian president, who was a special guest of his Brazilian counterpart for the G20 summit last November, was again invited as a partner country by the host presidents for the 2025 BRICS Summit of Heads of States and Governments. In Rio de Janeiro, Musbal and Wahab, NT News.
Now, to security, President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed commitment of his administration to the Nigerian army and indeed the armed forces towards combating all forms of security threats across the country. This is the message of the president to military personnel at the grand finale of the Nigerian Army Day Celebration 2025 held in Kaduna. Suraj Abdullahi reports.
The 162 years of existence, the Nigerian Army has undergone series of transformation in tandem with societal changes and dynamics of the operational environment. The Nigerian Army Day 2025 celebration is not just a social event, but an avenue to reflect on the journey so far. In attendance, serving are retired generals, including former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, witnessed the display of the Army advancement in technology, strength, and military capability, and efforts towards navigating the current security challenges in a joint environment.
In the past, has always successfully dealt with challenges. Hence, I use this medium to assure you all that the Nigerian Army of today has been infused with modern and state-of-the-art equipment, platforms, and capabilities to confront as well as deter any threat to the country.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his address through the Vice President Kashim Shettima, acknowledged the Nigerian Army and its cause of securing the territorial integrity of Nigeria.
The men and women of the Nigerian Army and Armed Forces more broadly, I affirm the present administration's unwavering commitment to your welfare and operational capacity. We will continue to invest in modern equipment, in intelligence, and in the human capital that drives our effectiveness. This is not a favor, it is a duty for those who depend on us.
Highlights were parade review, display of military hardware, research and development, as well as innovation of the Nigerian Army. In Kaduna, Suraj Abdullahi, NTA News.
Through energy reforms, Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is calling for a fair and inclusive approach to the global shift towards clean energy. In a message at the 17th Economic Cooperation Organization ECO Summit held in Abuja, President Tinubu stressed that developing nations must not be left behind in the race for climate solutions.
At the Economic Cooperation Organization Summit held in Azerbaijan, President Tinubu, in a speech delivered by Nigeria's Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, warned that climate change is already affecting millions through extreme drought, floods, and food shortages. He said the solution must be a just energy transition, one that considers the needs of developing nations like Nigeria. Nigeria, he said, is rich in both fossil fuels and renewable energy, and it is already taking steps to tackle climate change through its national development plans. A new roadmap from 2026 to 2030 will align with the Global Sustainable Development Goals.
Your Excellencies, true sustainability is impossible without interconnected economies. The challenges of climate change demand global resilience through stronger infrastructure, smarter energy systems, and integration of trade corridors. This is why Nigeria is supporting a reinforced Eco-Africa trade corridor. Let us harmonize tariffs, simplify custom procedures, and develop multimodal logistic platforms that can efficiently link Africa with the rest of the world.
President Tinubu also called on ECO members to invest in climate-friendly industries, support grassroots businesses, and ensure that no group is left behind, especially farmers, fishermen, and young entrepreneurs. President Tinubu emphasized the need for unity, fairness, and action, stating that Nigeria stands ready to lead by example in the fight against climate change and in building a more resilient future.
Let's take it to China, where a summit ended as a symbol of renewed purpose. The 2025 Nigeria-China Investment Summit in Guangzhou didn't just connect investors and institutions. It connected visions with a shared goal to mobilize capital and catalyze development. The event drew over 400 players ready to script a new success story between the African giant and Asia's economic powerhouse. Musa Abubakar takes it from here.
In the bustling heart of Guangzhou, China, a new era of economic diplomacy is unfolding, one that set the stage for deeper cooperation, stronger partnerships, and a renewed vision for Nigeria's economic transformation.
Continue to explore new ways to take advantage of its wide diaspora community through well-integrated approach, engagements to attract knowledge transfer, capital investment, including foreign direct investment.
The maiden edition of the Nigeria-China Investment Summit brought together over 400 top-tier representatives from Chinese state-owned enterprises and multinational companies to Nigerian entrepreneurs and community leaders. Organized by the Association of Nigerian Community in China under the leadership of its president, Ade Peters Olariwaju Oba, the summit was a celebration of strategic vision and unity of purpose.
To bring foreign direct investment in Nigeria and the legal reforms and infrastructure development its government embarked upon with the aims of easing ways of doing businesses in Nigeria should be seen as a great incentives for foreign companies to take advantage of.
The summit's theme, mobilizing strategic partnerships and FDI to promote Nigeria's economic transformation, became more than a slogan. It became a mission in action.
Now, you can see that trade volume and value between Nigeria and China is increasing by the year.
2023, the trade volume between China and Nigeria exceeded $22.56 billion.
I say this with full conviction. Any investor looking forward to Africa and not looking at Nigeria is really missing out.
A total of 11 strategic cooperation memoranda were signed, covering vital sectors from sustainable agriculture and smart manufacturing to green energy and digital innovation.
In other news, the role of faith-based institutions in driving community development came to the fore at the dedication of a new church building by the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Prince of Peace Zonal Headquarters, FCT Province 2, Kubwa, Abuja. The event also featured the inauguration of a newly constructed link road, underscoring how religious organizations can contribute to infrastructure and social impact in their host communities. Omenka Amarachuku brings us details.
The festive decorations inside and outside the church underscores the significance of the service, making it a day of celebration and reflection. Assistant General Overseer of RCCG, Pastor Ezekiel Odemi, urged Christians to make an impact whenever they find themselves, emphasizing that faith must translate into tangible actions that benefits the society.
There are several people in the church where the church has been built. In fact, some of them will even run down the attempts that have been made in building a house for God. But we thank God that in the time of Solomon, there were not just people there, they also made positive contribution.
The church choir's soul-lifting rendition filled the air as members of the congregation celebrated the grace and growth of their parish.
The place of prayer, just as we have had today, to always be a place of prayer where God will answer the prayer of his children.
For the members of the church, the dedication of the new building and the commissioning of a link road symbolizes a reward for years of sacrifice, perseverance, and a shared commitment to serving both God and humanity.
For this kind of project to happen here, it can only be by the grace of God.
Thank God for his faithfulness, and we thank God for the good things he's doing in our midst.
We really want to appreciate God because it started a long time ago.
As the year ended last year,
God came in a magnitude that none of us expected. And today we are dedicating this temple.
The event underscores the role of faith communities in building not only spiritual legacies, but also in contributing to physical development and social well-being. In Abuja, Umenka Machuku, NTA News.
Rural communities are the bedrock upon which lasting national development is built, and as such, the population must be empowered to adapt and thrive in the face of growing challenges of climate change, economic uncertainty, and communal conflicts. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu highlighted these in her message marking this year's World Rural Development Day with the theme Rural Development, Resilient to Global Change. It speaks to the heart of the challenges faced by nations and calls on Nigerians to work together to ensure that no community is left behind in ongoing efforts to build a stronger and more resilient Nigeria. Now, Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum has dismissed speculations in some sections of online media that he would lead 5 other governors in defecting to the opposition coalition party, the African Democratic Congress. In a statement, the governor described the rumor as baseless fabrication by unscrupulous elements seeking relevance, affirming his unalloyed loyalty to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. He says the statement is a cheap, politically motivated speculation designed to distract him and create unnecessary political tension. Zulum stressed that his loyalty to the APC remains firm and his dedication is solid to the welfare and progress of Borno State, urging residents to disregard the fabrication. He noted that he is focused on rebuilding and developing his state, urging media outlets and the public to verify information from credible official sources. And it's time to talk sports. Bade Adeleye will be our guide. Bade.
Many thanks, Elizabeth. Let's begin with women's football as the Super Falcons of Nigeria began their campaign at the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco by recording a 3-0 victory over Tunisia in a Group B match played this evening at Stade Labi Zawulu in Casablanca. The Super Falcons, who are seeking a 10th continental title, took an early lead in the 4th minute through Asisat Oshoala from Risola Babajide's assist. Nigeria extended their advantage in the 1st minute of added time before the break through, and of course they added a 3rd in the 84th minute when substitute Chiwendu Iezuo, who was left unmarked in the box, converted a headed assist from Ashley Plumter.
Swung in it goes, and it is in the back of the net, and there are just 4 minutes on the clock, and Nigeria's Super Falcons has come through to Babajide. Babajide has goal, and Babajide doubles Nigeria's lead. Lamche into the middle, Okaronko up, and this must be 3, and it is swept home.
Now, still on the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, Senegal produced a first-half demolition of Democratic Republic of Congo to register a comfortable 4-0 win and move top of Group A at the 2024 WAFCON in Morocco. Forwards Mama Diop and Inguna Ndiaye both scored 2 goals before halftime as the powerful Lionesses of Teranga frontline ripped into a fragile and disorganized rearguard. Following the 2-2 draw between Morocco and Zambia in Saturday's opening fixture, Senegal have the chance to book a place in the quarterfinals against the Zambians back in Mohamedia on Wednesday. Away from football now, straight to tennis, as world #1 Aryna Sabalenka overcame a battling Elise Mertens to reach the quarterfinals and stay on course for a 4th Wimbledon title. The 27-year-old, who reached the semifinals in 2021 and 2023, won 6-4, 7-6, and will next face world number 104, Laura Siegemund, for a place in the last 4. Defending men's champion Carlos Alcaraz is through to the quarterfinals after coming from a set down to beat Andrei Rublev 6-7, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4. Alcaraz will next face Britain's Cameron Norrie. That does it on Sports Tonight. Let's return to Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Bade, for the updates. The weather has been very friendly lately, so let's find out if an umbrella or raincoat would be needed tomorrow, Monday.
Hello and welcome to the latest weather update. Expect more rains across the country over the next 24 hours, with significant rainfall amount potentially leading to flash flooding in some cities. Looking ahead to Monday, the southern regions and the north-central cities can expect widespread rains, ranging from moderate to heavy in some areas, while the north will see mostly thunderstorms with moderate rains across the regions. Don't forget to grab your umbrella before heading out. I'm Safia Sanyinusa. Thank you for watching.